Diane DeWald with CreativeCatCrafts.com. I'm going to try this again today. We are going to explore 3 different ways to mass produce sentiments die cut. The first, let me throw the 3 different methods up on the screen so you can see it. The first method, cut the die outline, you have seen me do along with Gina and Jennifer McGuire, Nancy, Mary Polanco, and many, many others do this particular mass production of sentiments. The drop-in metal die is what I'm calling it. I've been challenged by a fellow Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends Facebook page group member. Her name is Sandy Lax. Sandy described doing a mass production of sentiments. I believe it follows number 2, which we're going to explore. So a shout out to Sandy. And then a third way, it looks like number 1 and 3 are the same, but they're a little different. The first one, you actually cut out each of the individual, oops, let me pull that off screen. You cut out each individual one and line it up with your stamp that you put on a piece of cardstock. And number 3 is you stamp the whole sheet, you die cut it, and lay it back on there, and then drop die cuts in, so then it all lines up. So it'll become really apparent when we go through each one of these steps. So today, this is some that I was practicing on, and we're going to use, since I have plenty of these, we're going to use, I've already recorded this once before. This is take number 2. I didn't like the first one, and I'm just going to delete it. And the reason for that is earlier this week, this is Thursday, on Monday, I was very ill with a stomach bug, and I don't wish that on anybody. And just suffice to say, my first take, my brain was still not engaging. And I'm going to put this over here, trying to keep this out of the way, but give the camera something to, oh, it's got the ink pads. I use this palette knife for my camera up there to focus on. Otherwise, if it's just the gray, all you're going to see is blur, and I don't want you all to endure that because it frustrates me. So the stamp sets we're going to use today is the more recent Love Notes, and I want this Thank You. And then I love the Spring Cluster Clip, and I'm clearing my throat, and I do apologize ahead of time. I love the font in Spring Clusters, this Happy Birthday, and then Thinking of You. We are also going to cut out or mass produce. So let me just set these aside a little bit, and let's do number 1, which is a method that I have previously used. And we're going to go ahead, and this is just some 80-pound cardstock, and I'm going to pause you for just a second. Where's the pause? So sorry about that. I had a tickle in my throat and needed to take care of that. So let's grab the stamps we're going to need. So the Thank You, that's never been used before. But the Happy Birthday has been well loved. And the Thinking of You, I know I've used this a lot as well. And I already have the dies associated and a bunch of die cuts. But we're going to go ahead, and this is the number 1, which is individual greetings. And you know, this one doesn't have, we're going to leave it down here in the corner. You don't have to for this method, but I'm not going to move these stamps once I ink them up for each one of the methods and go from there. And I apologize for the throat clearing. So I'm using the Tuxedo black from Memento. Let's just ink these up. And I think on this platform, I have a bubble, or this door is a little warped. And since I've not used that thank you stamp before, I am going to go ahead and wipe down the stamps, and that way I can get rid of the manufacturing residue on that stamp. The others have been well loved enough that it shouldn't be a problem. So I saved one of my sheets that I had previously used, and there's the happy birthday, the thinking of you, and the thank you. And I like to push that up for just a minute, turn these over. They're on their reverse side, and I'm going to use 1/2 inch minty tape because I like a little bit of low tack, and you can use pixie tape, masking magic, regular washi tape, any kind of tape, low tack tape that will hold the die in place. I like to hold the die in place. I'm just going to rip that because it was going to fold over in, this one did too. So we're just going to rip that off. Rip that Band-Aid off. It was going to interfere where the die was going to sit. And again, sorry for the clearing of the throat. I would stop it if I could. It's just residual at this point. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these taped down. And I have delicate surface painter's tape that I like to use. Use whatever tape you want to on this. And I'm going to line these up as best I can. And this is where this method works for me, because once I've stamped a sentiment or an image, I cannot for the life of me, and I need to trim this just a little bit here at the top. I should have trimmed this down, but that's okay. That works. But for what I was saying was, for the life of me, once I have stamped an image or a sentiment, it is extreme. I am extremely challenged in cutting it out. And that's off a little bit. So let me pull this back up. That T was not centered properly. There we go. And get this happy birthday. And there. That was in the way. Sometimes you have to perform a little surgery. And I'm trying not to get my head in the way. Yep. Too far over. That's still a little bit in the way. But I'm gonna run with it. So now that I have each of these, I'm going to grab one of the die cuts that I'd previously made. And again, this one's nothing new if you've been watching my channel for a while. I love this method. Love, love, love this method. Okay, let's move that back over. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure, but because I know this platform lid, door, whatever you want to call it, there's a little warp in it somewhere. And I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of inkings on this. Maybe one more. Thinking of you there in the center. That's perfect. Okay, let me put the lid on this ink. So this is method 1. Gently pull these out. And we have perfectly lined up sentiments. So that was method 1. Put those up here at the top because I'm going to compare them all. And excuse me for 1 second. I'm going to compare them all when we are done. So let me clean these off. That way I don't accidentally stick something in that ink that I don't want stuck in. Okay. I can peel this up. And as long as we don't move these stamps, I can, since I put it down here in the corner, I can reuse this if these stamps don't move. So let me just set that aside. And I need some 80-pound cardstock again. Well, hello, Sylvie. My Sylvie came to see me. This is, again, 80-pound cardstock. Oops, I just put ink on the table. And I'm going to try to get a pretty decent impression on these because even though they're 80-pound, I can still use these. I can just put 2 80 pounds together and that's really pretty. That's getting some good impression. Okay, so let me peel this off. Again, I'm just not going to touch that. And there we go. Focus right here. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to grab my die cutting platform. And I do have the intricate, but I traditionally use, I got something here. I traditionally use a Big Shot Express because it's electric. I absolutely love my intricate. I do have arthritis in my fingers and my hands. Not as bad as some. I don't want to ache at the end of the day. Okay, so I am going to grab my minty tape. Use whatever low tack tape you have. I'm going to pull this down a little and I'm going to get my head in the way because I am, like I said, very challenged in getting these lined up. I am terrible at this. And if I don't get this lined up right, then method 2, because we're moving on to this is method 2. This isn't going to work. And then a cabinets, no, thinking of you will go next. And I don't want to rely on my magnetic platform because sometimes they move. Everybody stay where you're supposed to. And again, sorry my head's in the way. Nope. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, let me go cut that. I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. And this isn't the hack. The hack is coming. I'm just trying to pull these up as best I can without ripping everything. And I will try to reuse those. Just checking these to make sure they are, these are lined up very well. Watch the happy birthday be off. This will be really funny if it is. Oh, it's not. Hang on, let me poke that out of there. It's not. That lined up really well. Ooh. There may be hope for me yet. So this is what we want. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that out because we really don't need that. And then this little piece right here, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of. We don't need those. And I have some tape on the floor. And I need my platform back. That we need. Don't need the die. Let me put those dies back where they belong. I'm really kind of upset. I misplaced the Merry Christmas from the graphic tree. Very upset. Okay, I'm going to take, this is 110 pound Neenah Classic Crest Solar White. I'm tucking it tight in down here to the right hand lower corner. And we're going to ink these back up. Those were the 80 pound. Okay, we definitely need to get more ink. And the happy needs more. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so here is, I just saw there's a little bit of, there's a little place in here. It had cardstock stuck in there. So here's the hack. Lining this up. Because the stamps didn't move. They're really good outlines that I cut. And I am going to use the painter's tape and just make sure everything stays lined up where I want it. I wish I had done this in a different color so that you could really see it. But I think if you get close enough, those are pretty well lined up. How about if I turn it this way? I think those are fairly lined up. So let me grab my platform again, my cutting platform. And where's the dies? Grab the dies. And they should just slide in and lock in place just like that. And I'm using my magnetic platform to help out. And I'm going to turn that a little bit. Make sure that stays. Drop it in. It's locked. Drop this in, and it's locked. Now, because I'm cutting into 110 pound and the top layer is 80 pound, it might take a couple passes, so I'll be right back. Okay, camera right here, focus here, perfect. So let's see how we did. I'm going to take these dies out, put them over there, and then I'm going to peel this off, because if we're doing mass production, I want to maintain the integrity of this top sheet, because that's the template we're going to use. So let me pull that, and these literally just pop out. I ran it through 3 times. 2 just didn't seem like it was going to cut enough. And I'm seeing here with the more intricate places, there it's more of a struggle. And it's because I'm using the higher cardstock, the 110 versus the 80. So let's line this up with my others. The thank you. So the left is running it through. And let me grab my and pull these down a little bit. I moved where my camera is positioned on my desk, so I'm going to have to get used to it. I was doing too much closer. I'm this direction, and I think that, wow, this works. Woohoo! Thanks, Sandy Lax. This is a great tip. The first video I did with it, this didn't work for me. And I think it was, let me pull you back out and grab that sheet. So the difference between my first video and this, where this method failed, I was taping it front, top and bottom instead of side to side, and I was using Minty tape. And I don't think the Minty tape held on like it should. But this is a definite yes. I like this. So these are the ones on my left. Those are the, because these are 80 pound, I can feel the difference. These are my 110. Okay, focus camera. Now, here is method 3. And what did I call method 3? I gotta go look and see what I called it. So hang on. Drop in die cut. So again, 80 pound cardstock. And before we do that, I need my trimmer. Where's my trimmer? And I need to move you out a little bit. There. So this is the orientation of this. And I want to cut a little bit off the bottom. And then I want to cut a little bit off of this side. And it's to give us a little play with placement of this on top of that, because not every A2 card panel measures exact. So I want to make sure we have some room to play. And that's fine with that. So you see how I have room to move this around? Sorry, there was some dust on that. And I'm going to grab those pieces of minty tape. And here's where I wish the top panel was a different color, that you could see it better. So we're just going to get this tape down. And before we do that, before we go too much further, the one other thing I want to do, turn this over. And this is to hold those die cuts in place. Oops, it'll be fine. Okay, now move this back over. And that minty tape does kind of get in the way, but it's not going to be too bad. And down here, okay, I think we're on the way. There. Okay, so let's grab a thinking of you, a thank you, and a happy birthday. And the minty tape's not holding. So we're just going to use the delicate. There we are. This will work. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? Okay. Let's see how well I line that up. Not putting a lot of pressure on that. I'm just trying to get this door to where all those stamps meet the cardstock. Okay, let's pull these out of here and take a look. Let me move this out of the way. And sorry if it went blurry. There's a thank you, thinking of you. Okay, and see if we can pull you in a little, and I'm gonna have to move things over. I can already see. And we have across the spectrum perfectly lined up sentiments. It all depends on what you are most comfortable with as to what method works for you. Personally, I like to take a little more time and cut them individually out. This methods 2 and 3 give you a little more of a gamble if you don't get that die cut a lot, the die before you cut the template. If you do not get that lined up perfectly, you're not going to have good impressions going on. So if you can line up sentiments, dies around the sentiment that it's going to cut perfectly, methods 2 and 3 are your methods. If you're like me and cannot for the life of you line it up, method 1. And I should have had these in reverse order. Thanks a lot for joining me. I very much appreciate your time. Whoops, wrong direction. If you are new to the channel, If you would hit that like button number 1, and then there's also a subscribe button down below. If you would click that subscribe button and the notification bell, click that so that you are notified the next time I upload a video. Thank you so much for joining me. I will have everything listed down below that I utilized today. There's not a lot there with these 3 methods. And until next time, happy stamping.